I'm of a certain age where, long hair just makes you it starts to make you look scary.
Hi, Rufus.
I
Hi. Um, well, we've been in this pandemic long enough that you have a Zoom assistant.
There you go. Well, he's he's more of an all-purpose assistant,
Yeah.
which we're very fortunate to have. Very fortunate to have.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, it's funny. I talked to you last year on the phone, um, and at that point, we didn't know what was going to happen, and so much has changed, and so much has changed that you have had to sort of um, become more technologically advanced. I assume, right? You have a whole crew now working with you, and
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the kind of plus sides of this pandemic situation is that before COVID, I really had a very negative view of the internet and
you told me,
social
yeah.
media and all of that stuff. Like I tended to poo-poo it on a regular basis, and thought it was kind of below me. Now I think and it's definitely still a double-edged sword in the sense that there's very frightening sides of it, obviously, especially when you look at the political landscape. But nonetheless, I now rely on it, and I have a lot to be thankful for in terms of what it's brought me,
Yeah.
and it's kept my career going. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we've really realized how important technology has been in keeping us connected. I mean, I don't think that I wouldn't be able to get through this without seeing some of my favorite performers such as yourself or Brandy Carlisle putting out content still. Like there's the need for art to keep us
yes, yes,
going.
yes, and I do have a strong sense that there will be a kind of renaissance after this period. I mean, I don't know if it'll match the Italian Renaissance necessarily, but I think there nonetheless there's going to be like a real outburst of creative work, because it's there's just a lot to process, obviously.
Yeah, are you tapping into that right now creatively? Are you just sort of like is it
Yeah,
really
no, I've
how's
been writing a lot. What I'm excited about on my end is that because everybody, all my career, even though I've written two operas and worked on the Shakespeare Sonnets project, and made a lot of albums and stuff, everybody's always like, Rufus, when are you going to write a musical? I mean, it's ridiculous, just because your songs are so theatrical and dramatic and stuff. So I've actually had a chance in this pandemic period to like really think of stories that interest me, and really start to talk to writers and directors and producers about and starting to lay the groundwork for some of those projects, which, I mean, I can't announce anything yet, but
sure, but I mean this seems like the right time. We have time, and these things take
yes,
a long
and
time.
in the world of the theater, you need a good 5 years,
Yeah.
to even get things rolling slightly. So it kind of fits into that paradigm.
What happened to the locks?
Oh, the
You
logs.
had those long, beautiful locks.
Yeah, no, I just what happened? Well, I'm of a certain age where long hair just makes you it starts to make you look scary. When you're young, and or even not even too young, but let's say in your 30s and under, it can, you can kind of pull the Jesus card occasionally, but not when you're over 40. It starts to look more John the Baptist. So
Yeah. It was time for a snip snip.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, first of all, a Rufus retro Wainwright Spective is a mouthful. See, I have to say I actually have to slow down. Can you say that 3 times in a row because I
Good. It's
can't.
good. It's good to slow down. Rufus-Retro-Wainwright-Spective, Rufus-Retro-Wainwright-Spective. I say it all the time, so
You do it. Yeah.
I know it. But yeah, but it is. But that being said, as I said, it's good to slow down.
You're such a showman. Have you gotten used to not performing in front of a real audience? Is that still weird?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I miss performing in front of an audience. I will say that before COVID, I was working too much. I was touring my ass off for years. And that first like 3 or 4 months, even 5 months of COVID was actually a real godsend. I needed to stop. I needed to slow down. I think even the world needed that, just to kind of get some perspective. So yeah, I learned to appreciate that and feel very fortunate that I was able to do that and not lose my job, and keep my house and everything.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm dying to go out now. I'm really itching to hit the road.
To close out the retrospective, you're doing a Rarities program. What is that going to look like? Because I think that there will be songs that you haven't performed in a while or ever, maybe new material.
Yeah. No, I mean that was a suggestion from one of the fans who requested that. And it's a kind of an interesting idea. So I haven't gone over the list yet totally. So I can't really express too much of what's going to happen. But well, what's fun is that I think there was, now I write songs, for lots of purposes, whether it's, trying to get on the radio, or for a musical, or for a movie, or for what I'm experiencing, myself personally, to sort of translate that. But I think there was a time when I was younger when I really went out on a lot of weird limbs, that kind of, youthful sophomoric confidence, that I think some of those songs will be imbued with. So it's that'll be fun to go out there again.
I'm curious to know what you think are your weird limbs. Like, what were the moments, the songs
that are in your head?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few songs. There's probably a lot of songs that I wrote back then where I had no sense of kind of purpose. It was completely experimental, and completely just getting lost in the material. Like I hadn't really loved yet. I hadn't really experienced loss. I hadn't really, been sick or seen death. It was sort of, there's sort of this innocence, I guess is the best word, that exists in some of them. And so I'm excited to revisit that that funny little boy.
Especially given, now that you have lived through some of those tragedies or whatnot, your perspective might have shifted in how you perform them, or how you interpret them, or how you think about them.
Yeah. And I actually, it's funny because I right before COVID, or a few months before, I had gone out for the 20th anniversary tour of my first two albums, the Poses tour. So I did, Rufus Wainwright and Poses with a band. We went all around the world for that. And it was really, I was pleasantly surprised in terms of, hitting that material again 20 years later, by how, I don't know, for lack of a better word, but profound my emotions were at that age, or at least how sincere and how, true they were. I wasn't being melodramatic. I was really searching. So it was kind of nice. It was nice to be. Oh, that was very, because I took myself very seriously when I was young.
You laugh.
Probably too much so, but I think within the music it was warranted.
Well, I'm rooting for you come Grammy night.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is very exciting, and I have to say, as a fan for a very long time, I can't believe that this is honestly just your second Grammy nomination.
Oh, that's, yeah. I'm not totally surprised, only because I don't know what I do. Really, I've never been able to define myself. So God forbid the Grammys can. But I think this one, I would like to. I've admitted it before, and I kind of regret that a little bit. But the cat's out of the bag. I want to win this.
If you could say
to
that,
get it over with, to get it over with. But so therefore, I probably won't. But we'll see.
Does this nomination feel any different than the nomination you got for Rufus?
Yeah, no. I think when the Judy Garland album was nominated, what, over 10 years ago, it was, I kind of knew in my bones that I didn't stand a chance. Mainly because at that time I was up against Natalie Cole, and Natalie Cole was very sick. She had like kidney transplants and stuff, and so I was like, there goes my Grammy, you know, which is she died not long after.
A side story,
Yeah, so like that's it, you lose, which is the kind of the way it works. But I feel that with this one, there's more of a sense that I think it's precisely what you said. I think a lot of people in the know are like, he probably deserves one at this point.